Okay, everybody. Lesson 27 is on the idea of simul justus et peccator. I'm afraid that that's Latin, but what it means is that we are simultaneously saint and sinner. And that is something that Lutherans have taught for now 500 years. So to get started with your paper, pencil, and Bible in your hands, please make sure you have all those things. Also, today you're going to need your small catechism. So make sure you got that in your hands as well. But I want you to start off, and if you want to use a dictionary to get started, you can. But start off with writing down to you what the words saint and sinner mean. Use your own words. If you like you said, if you need a dictionary to get started to thinking about it, go ahead and do that. But in your own words, write down what saint and sinner means. Pause here and do that. Okay, so for a lot of people, and a lot of people think of it this way, the word saint refers to somebody who obeys God, and the word sinner simply refers to someone who disobeys God. If we want to be as simple as we can about it, we would reduce it all the way to that. Lutherans, we start with this idea that everyone is disobedient, that everyone needs forgiveness. And we get that straight out of Scripture. So I want you to turn to Romans chapter 3, and I want you to read verses 23 to 25 and write down what you think it says. It might take you a few minutes. It can be kind of thick to get through these words. All right, so Romans 3, 23 to 25, pause and write down what you think that says. Okay, so if we start with this idea that everyone has sinned, that's a little bit at least of what Romans 3 was trying to tell us. Everyone is a sinner, even those people we call saints, or people who sinned. But what Romans tells us, and what all of Scripture tells us, is that Jesus died on the cross so that we could be forgiven for those sins. So what we think of as a saint is someone whose sins have been forgiven. Every saint is a forgiven sinner. Now, here's the question, though, is do we ever stop sinning? If you were to think back through all of the things that you might have done wrong, and you know the 10 Commandments, so at least that's a place to start, have you broken any of them in the last month? How about the last week? The last day? The last hour, maybe? I will confess that it might have been 10 minutes since the last time I sinned. But what we believe is that God continues and ongoingly forgives us all the time. So I want you to turn to the section on baptism in your small catechism and find part 4 under baptism. There's a number 4 under baptism. Find that. Okay, go ahead and take a minute, pause here and do that. Okay, so under part 4, Luther asks, what then is the significance of such a baptism with water? And he says, read this, make sure you see this, that it is the daily death and drowning, and a daily rising up to live. We are forgiven daily because we sin daily. I want you to pause and I want you to read through that until that makes sense to you. Okay, that's section 4. Okay, so for Luther, because we continue to sin even after we know Jesus, even after we've been forgiven, we sin again and again and again. So we continually sin, but we are also continually forgiven. Every time it happens, Jesus forgives us again and again and again. So we are both at the same time a saint and a sinner. We are both forgiven and continually sinning. And those things happen together. So what I would like for you to write down, and this is how we'll finish today, is 3 or 4 sentences at least about how this applies to you and how it makes you feel. Maybe you'll talk about that in your small group. So take a few minutes, go ahead and turn this off, and then write down 3, 4, 5 sentences about how being a saint and a sinner at the same time applies to you and how it makes you feel. Thanks. We'll see you next time.